Hey everybody, this is Dream, and before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really helps the channel a lot. This slate features 5 games. All 5 games have 2-point spread or closer. The Xavier Marquette game has the biggest total at 154 points, and the Duke Virginia games at 123 points is the lowest. The other 3 games are all pretty similar in the mid 140 range. So I look for this slate to be really good. It's definitely got some good options across the board, top to bottom, fantasy-wise. I will do a team breakdown at the end of the video as well. So let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to start with guards, and we're going to start with Tyler Kolek for Marquette. He's got his big time of upside of anybody on the slate. He is pretty expensive, but he's been playing well, and he's been dominant against Marquette as well, which definitely gives him some nice upside here. He has played well all season long. I really like him as a great play on the slate. Then we're going to look at Colby Jones, who I do think is a core play today. He's played extremely well in this matchup against Marquette, and he's been playing extremely well lately. He is very, he actually rebounds really well for a guard, which gives him extra boost. His floor games are in the mid-20s. Obviously, I don't think he'll have that kind of game today. He's got nice upside here. He looks like a great play on a solid team who's playing really well in a high-scoring game. Soli Boom is also in a high-scoring game. He's got just as much upside as anybody on the slate as well. Same as Colby Jones. He's a little bit cheaper than Jones, and they have just as much upside. He's been stuffing the stats as well, getting rebounds and assists lately, which is really helping him from a fantasy perspective. And I think he can continue that. He's played well against Marquette this season, averaging 33 fantasy points a game as well. Then we'll look at Tiger Campbell for UCLA. Now, this is a tougher matchup. But he has been playing really well lately, and he has taken over as probably the best player on their team. Aside from Jaquez, he has been playing extremely well. I really like his upside in this matchup. His price is a little bit cheaper than Boom and Jones, so if you want to save a little money, you can go with him. He's also played extremely well against Arizona, averaging 30 fantasy points a game against them this season, which is somewhat tough to do, so I really like him in this matchup. Then we'll look at Dejon Harris. I really like him as well today for Kansas. He's really played well as of late. He's had a couple floor games before this recent stretch where he kind of had some rough games, but his price is a little bit up though as well. But he's playing extremely well, and his role is somewhat expanded due to the injuries, potentially to McCullough. And if McCullough was to sit, he would almost become a top tier play. Then we'll look at Sir Jabari Rice here for Texas. He is a must-play, I think, on the slate. He has played extremely well as a starter the last 2 games. Despite not shooting the ball well last game, he still manages 23 fantasy points. And so that's basically his floor as a starter here. He's played well all season long coming off the bench, mostly just coming off the bench. And I really like him in this matchup against Kansas. He's got good upside, and he's got as much potential as anybody. It's also a pretty high-scoring game for the slate and a high-scoring team, so I really like him here. Then we'll look at Tyrese Hunter for Texas, another guy I really like. He's played extremely well all season long, and he's got some pretty good upside, though he hasn't played quite as well against Kansas as some of the other players. He's a little bit streaky and scoring dependent, but he does have upside in this matchup, and I do think he's worth taking a look at. David Singleton, also very interesting here for UCLA. His role is expanded into starting the last couple games due to injuries. And he is very scoring dependent, but he does have upside in this matchup, and he's a pretty good upside play. Lamont Butler, last but not least for San Diego State at $4,800, looks like a really solid option at guard. He has been playing really well as a starter. He's only had 2 floor games all year, though he only plays around 20 to 25 minutes most nights, so you do have to take that into consideration. But he does have good upside in this matchup. I think he's a great value type play. I do have a few value plays at the end of the video, and like I said, this slate is very guard heavy. There's not as many forwards that I like today, so I will go through those guys, and then I'll get my 3 value plays and then my team breakdown. So at forward, we're going to start with a Jack Nunge for Xavier. Since Fremantle's been out, he's really taken over as the top tier play on Xavier from the forward position. He's been playing extremely well, and barring foul trouble, he has big-time upside, though he hasn't been quite as consistent as some of the other guys in his price range, but his matchup gives him a lot of good opportunity here. He's played well in this matchup, and he should play well here as well. And then Ozo Ighodaro for Marquette. He might be my favorite play at forward. If you remove the last game due to foul trouble, he's been a great play this season. He has been underpriced for his potential in this matchup, probably due to the fact he's had some foul trouble games. But I do think he's in a great spot here. He has good upside, and I really think he's a good play on the slate in general. Then we're going to look at Dylan Disu for Texas. Now, he has got a bigger role due to the injuries to Timmy Allen, and he should play a lot here. He has had some trouble against Kansas this season, but he's been playing well in the tournament, and with his expanded role, he should be getting in the mid 20s, low 30-minute ranges, assuming he can stay out of foul trouble. The big issue with him is that he's really not had any games since January that he didn't have at least 3 fouls. Since mid-January, that is, that he's had at least 3 fouls. So I really think that he's good for 20 to 25 minutes, but he is a little bit risky due to the foul situation. But he's got upside regardless, and so he is somebody you have to consider here. And then Jaden Gardner for Virginia. It is an annoying matchup and a low-scoring game, but he has played well lately. He has 3 double-doubles in 5 games, and I think he's in a really good spot to have a good game. He's priced pretty fair as well. Then for my value plays, we're going to start with Christian Bishop at $4,400. He has a high ceiling. He does have a low floor, but he does play 20 minutes a game, and his role has really improved the last few games due to injury. He has been all over the place fantasy-wise. As you can see, he has had 30 fantasy points, 3 fantasy points. I mean, he has as much upside as anybody, but as much downside as anybody as well. Then we're going to look at Desmond Claude for Xavier. Now, he's coming off the bench, I think, most of the time. He has been streaky all year, but he's been playing really well lately. He plays around 20-ish minutes a game, and he should get in that range. He's also got some really good upside here in this matchup where he should have a good opportunity, though he is a little bit scoring dependent, so do keep that in mind. And then Micah Parrish for San Diego State. He looks like he's in a great spot here. His role has been pretty solid throughout the season. He's playing 20 minutes off the bench, and he's just played pretty stout in that role. His price is pretty fair. He's been really good against Utah State as well, which gives him some nice upside in this matchup. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.